Don't scroll past another second. If you're listening to this, it's not by chance, but because you've reached a point of no return. There's one thing you absolutely must accomplish before doing anything else. And if you continue to procrastinate, your next 10 years will slip away in the same old loop. Only you'll be older, more tired, and less courageous. You don't lack potential. You don't lack intelligence. What you lack is absolute focus on a single task. You've done too much, learned too much, started too many things. But there's a core task, a silent calling that remains unfinished. You're busy, but you're not moving forward. You're trying, but you're not breaking through. You feel like you were born for something bigger, but you're constantly scattering your energy on small things. Your exhaustion doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from not doing the right thing first. There's a cold, hard truth that few dare to speak of. When you fail to fulfill your core mission, all other achievements become fragile. You might earn money, gain recognition, receive praise, but deep down, you know you're avoiding what's most important. Many call it passion. Some call it mission. I call it responsibility. Responsibility for the abilities you've been given, for the experiences you've had, for the lessons you've learned through suffering. Not everyone has what you have, and therefore, not everyone carries the same responsibility as you. You've gone through periods where no one understood you, feeling lost in a crowd, feeling like you see what others don't. You've wondered if you're delusional. But if it were delusional, it would have disappeared long ago. Instead, it remains persistent, refusing to let go. That urge isn't random. It reappears over the years in many different forms. When you try to forget it, it brings back dissatisfaction. When you try to ignore it, it brings back a feeling of emptiness. When you chase after something else, it brings back a single question. Is this really what you were born to do? You've tried to compromise. Part dream, part security, part passion, part stability. But that dilution prevents you from ever truly reaching the end of anything. You're average at many things, instead of excelling at one. This truth isn't easy to hear. You're not held back by circumstances. You're held back by distractions. Not a lack of opportunity, but a lack of decisive action. Not a lack of time, but a lack of clear priorities. Look back at the past few years. 2020, 2021, 2022. How many different paths have you taken? How many plans were written and then abandoned? How many times have I said, next year I'll do it seriously, and now it's already 2025? Time doesn't betray you. It only reflects your level of commitment. If you do things half-heartedly, it yields half-hearted results. If you interrupt, it yields interrupted results. Time is fair. It's just not merciful. What you're called to do isn't easy. If it were easy, you would have finished it long ago. It requires you to cut out familiar things, cut back on energy-draining relationships, cut back on the need for immediate understanding and recognition. You fear that focusing on a single task will cause you to miss other opportunities. But paradoxically, when you don't choose one thing, you miss everything. Successful people don't do everything. They do one thing long enough, deeply enough, with enough discipline to create momentum. Perhaps your task is to build a project. Perhaps it's to write a book. Perhaps it's to develop a skill to a master level. Perhaps it's to complete an unfinished learning journey. Different forms, but the same essence. Complete before expanding. You don't need extra motivation. You need acceptance that there will be loneliness. There will be doubt. There will be days when no one applauds. But that's the price of depth. And depth always demands longer silence than noise. In the next 30 days, if you decide seriously, you will see a noticeable change. Not in external results, but in inner strength. You will sleep with fewer distractions. Your thoughts will be less muddled. Each day will have a clear direction. You don't need to do big things right away. You need to do consistently and see it through. 1 hour of genuine focus each day on the core task is worth more than 10 hours of scattered work. Strength lies not in explosive intensity, but in cold consistency. Perhaps you are waiting for the right time. But the right time doesn't come on its own. It is created by decision. When you say, from today, I'll finish this before doing anything else, that's the timing. Don't get me wrong, this isn't a magic promise. No miracle happens automatically just because you watch a video. Change comes from repeated action on days when no one is watching. But one thing is certain, If you keep procrastinating, you'll live with the feeling of incompleteness. And that feeling, over the years, will weigh more heavily than any failure. Failure hurts once. The pain of unfinished business lingers for a lifetime. Ask yourself one question. If in the next 5 years you were only allowed to complete one thing, what would it be? The first answer that comes to mind, most likely, is the task you're avoiding. This is just the beginning. In the following section, we'll delve into why you're constantly being pulled away from your core mission and how to accurately identify the obstacles that are subtly influencing your decisions. If you've heard this far, it means you know you can't go back to your old ways of living. You don't stray from your mission out of laziness. You stray because you're being pulled along little by little, logically, convincingly. There's no big bang that breaks you. Only small, repetitive choices, day after day, derail you from the main path. The first obstacle is the need for early recognition. When you start something big, results are often slow. No one applauds immediately. No one fully understands your vision. And in that lull, you're easily tempted to switch to something that yields quicker results, a safer job, a project with more visible outcomes. You tell yourself it's only temporary, that when things get more stable, you'll return to your main mission. But temporary stretches into months, then years. And the core mission is pushed to the bottom of the priority list, below the urgent tasks. The second obstacle is the fear of judgment. When you truly pursue what you're called to do, you're forced to reveal yourself. You can't hide forever. And once you're exposed, you have to accept the stares, the comments, the doubts, and the criticisms. Many people choose to spread their energy simply to avoid that risk. They do many small, safe things so that no one expects too much. But that very safety prevents you from ever reaching your strongest version. The third obstacle is old habits. You're used to starting excitedly and then stopping halfway. Used to the feeling of having new ideas rather than completing old ones. The brain loves novelty because it creates a sense of progress without long-term commitment. But novelty doesn't create a legacy. Only completion does. Every time you abandon something important, you unconsciously teach yourself that you're not seeing it through. And that belief, repeated long enough, becomes ingrained in your identity. There's a cold truth. You can't build a life of significance if every decision you make is based on fleeting emotions. Today you work when you're motivated. Tomorrow you rest when you're tired. That creates an erratic rhythm. And the results are erratic as well. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do something you hate. Discipline is remembering why you started, even when the feeling has cooled. It's the ability to continue when no one reminds you. The ability to stay with something long enough for it to start yielding results. Look at reality. If for the past 3 years you had dedicated all your energy to a single, uninterrupted goal, how different would your life be today? That question isn't for self-reproach. It's to help you understand the value of long-term focus. Your task doesn't need to be perfect from the start. It needs to be protected from distractions. You must learn to say no to good opportunities to save your energy for the right ones. This is a skill few dare to cultivate. You might receive another collaboration offer. There might be a new job, a more stable income. There might be a different path that sounds appealing. But if it takes you away from your core mission, it's not a reward. It's a test. In the next 72 hours, observe carefully. An option will appear, one that's reasonable enough for you to consider. Not bad, not wrong. But if you're honest, you'll know if it's slowing down your main progress. You don't need to fight the world. You just need to stand firm on one decision. Finish what you started. Finish what you've put off for too long. Each time you return to your core mission instead of chasing something new, you're rebuilding self-confidence. That confidence is crucial. When you believe you're a finisher, you walk differently. You talk less, do more. You don't need to make loud pronouncements. The results will speak for themselves. Don't wait until you've lost all opportunities to realize the value of time. Don't wait until 2:30 to look back and wonder why you're still at the starting line. Decisions should be made when you still have a choice, not when it's too late. The following section will delve into how to establish a specific action structure so that you not only experience temporary excitement, but actually get closer to completing your task, step by step, in a controlled, this non-dramatic, but irreversible manner. If you want to complete your task, you can't rely on inspiration. You need structure. Structure isn't flashy, but it creates a quiet power. It transforms a vague intention into an undeniable chain of action. First, define a single task. Not two, not three. One task, if completed, will change everything else. It must be important enough that you're willing to sacrifice short-term comfort. Next, lock in a fixed amount of time each day for that task. Don't wait for when you're free. Don't wait for when you're inspired. A clear time slot, repeated every day, including weekends. You don't negotiate with your schedule. Within that time slot, you completely eliminate distractions. Keep your phone away. Turn off notifications. No multitasking. You do one thing at a time until the allotted time is up. Even if the results are small, consistency creates momentum. You don't measure progress by emotion. You measure it by the number of consecutive days you keep your commitment. 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. As that series of days drags on, you begin to see yourself change. There will be days you want to give up, days you wonder if this effort is worth it. That's a crucial turning point. Most people stop just as what they're doing is about to start making a difference. You have to understand one rule. Every serious project has a quiet period. No feedback, no clear results. If you leave during that period, you'll repeat the same cycle with a new idea. Break down large tasks into small but complete milestones. Don't do things halfway. Each week, a specific part must be completed. Seeing tangible results helps you build confidence. Don't talk too much about your plan. When you talk about it, you get a false sense of satisfaction from praise or attention. That diminishes the real motivation to act. Be quiet and do. If you fail one day, don't destroy the whole system. You bounce back the very next day. No drama, no self-blame. Discipline is the ability to bounce back quickly, not the inability to never make mistakes. Within 21 days of maintaining this structure, you'll notice a subtle change. Your self-esteem increases. You no longer feel like you're drifting. You're in control of your direction. And when you're in control of your direction, confidence is no longer a slogan. It becomes a foundation. You walk into meetings differently. You speak differently. Because deep down, you know you're building something real. Prepare for a reaction from your surroundings. When you become focused, some people will feel uncomfortable. They're used to your easygoing version. When you change the rhythm, they feel left behind. Don't argue. Don't over-explain. Those who need to understand will understand. Those who don't understand aren't the ones who decide your future. You can't move forward carrying everything. Every morning, before starting your day, ask yourself one single question. What do I need to do today to get closer to completing my core mission? If the answer doesn't relate to that, reconsider your priorities. You don't need a noisy revolution. You need a quiet restructuring. When you build a solid foundation, results will come naturally. No fanfare, no proof needed. Next, we'll talk about the true cost of completing this mission and the tangible, unmysterious rewards that await you on the other side of perseverance. Completing your tasks isn't free. The first price is temporary isolation. When you focus your energy in a single direction, you'll be less visible, less involved, less agreeable. Some relationships will fade, not because you're wrong, but because you've shifted your priorities. The second price is doubt, not just from others, but from yourself. There will be nights when you wonder if you're being too rigid, if you're missing something easier. But growing up always comes with some discomfort. The third price is letting go of your old identity. You used to be flexible, easygoing, and willing to take on many things at once. Now you have to become selective, even cold, with your time. That transformation makes you feel different. But in return, you gain something very few people have. Focus creates depth. Depth creates true competence, and true competence creates lasting influence. It's not something that explodes and disappears, but something that grows steadily over the years. When you complete your core task, you move to a different position. You no longer talk about plans. You talk about results. Your confidence isn't based on encouragement, but on proof. Financially, depth always triumphs over fragmentation. One skill honed to excellence is worth more than 5 average skills. The market doesn't reward those who try many things. It rewards those who solve a problem thoroughly. In terms of reputation, consistency creates a stronger personal brand than any advertising campaign. When others think of a field and immediately associate it with you, it's not luck. It's the result of years of staying in the same place. Inwardly, the greatest reward is peace of mind. You're no longer obsessed with the question of what you should do. You know where you are on your journey. That clarity significantly reduces anxiety and meaningless comparisons. You might not see changes in the first month, but with a year of focused effort, your life can shift dramatically. And in 5 years, you'll hardly recognize your old self. Imagine 2030. If you stick to your commitment from today, taking small but consistent steps each day, where will you be? Not in your imagination, but in a measurable reality. The rewards aren't just for you. When you complete your task, you become living proof that discipline is valuable. Others look at you and adjust their standards. That influence is far-reaching. But all of this only happens if you don't stop halfway. Many people go very far, then give up just before reaching their breakthrough. They can endure hardship, but not the delay in results. You need to prepare yourself mentally for the acceleration phase. When the foundation is solid, opportunities will come flooding in. If you don't stick to your principles, you might scatter again. Success is also a test. In the end, we'll lock down this entire journey with a clear decision. Not a fleeting emotion, but a specific, time-limited commitment, so you can't unconsciously revert to your old ways. At this point, everything hinges on one decision. Not an emotional decision made after hearing something and then leaving it at that. It's a commitment with a deadline, standards, and a clear endpoint. You're not pursuing this task indefinitely in the dark. You're pursuing it for a long enough period to see tangible results. Choose a specific milestone. 90 days, 180 days, or a full year from today. Within that time frame, the core task is the number one priority. No side projects, no opening new avenues, no breaking the established structure. Write clearly what you will accomplish by the end of that period. Not vague statements like improvement. It must be a measurable result, a finished product, a specific, standardized skill, an undeniable milestone. From this point on, you stop presenting yourself by potential. You present yourself by progress. Each week must show a trace of action. If not, adjust immediately. Don't blame the circumstances. Some will say you've changed too much. Some will think you're obsessive. But focus always seems extreme to those accustomed to a scattered life. You don't need to convince them. You just need to be true to your commitment. In the process, you'll realize something important. The task you're called to complete doesn't just change your career or income. It restructures you as a person. You become more precise in your words, more concise in your decisions, less swayed by outside opinions. When you complete it, you no longer feel indebted to yourself. No more the silent guilt that you could have done better. Completion brings a kind of freedom that no material reward can replace. And if you fail during that commitment phase, at least you failed after giving it your all. That's completely different from never really trying. But if you maintain discipline, chances are you'll not only complete it, but also open new doors. Don't look for supernatural signs. The clearest sign is the recurring urge within you over the years. It doesn't disappear because it's the most serious part of you. End the procrastination here. Not tomorrow, not the beginning of next month. Right after hearing these words, write down your commitment, clear, specific, with a deadline. Your future isn't determined by the inspiration you once had. It's determined by whether or not you complete what you know you have to do. You don't lack ability. You don't lack time. You only lack an unwavering promise to yourself. From this moment on, either you continue living as scattered as before, or you enter the most intensely focused phase of your life. There's no third option. Complete your task before doing anything else. Once that's done, all the other doors will open in their natural order. And looking back, you'll know that today's decision was the turning point for an entire decade.